Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed at 1,000 subscribers. I'll be posting a special video. The plastic stick skids across the counter and stops. I'm Mark 52 and my mouth won't work. Mia keeps her eyes on me like I'm the fuse. It's not a prank, she says, jaw clenched tight. The room holds its breath like it wants an answer. I pick up the test with 2 fingers and stare. She snatches it back like I might erase it. I'm late and now I'm not alone, she says. My hand drops to the table and stays there. Are you safe? I ask, already behind the moment. She nods once and looks at the door. No lectures, she says, chin lifted like a shield. I need a plan before Mom gets home. My phone buzzes twice and doesn't stop. Unknown number, then the same number again. Block it, Mia says, pacing a fast circle. Who is it? I ask, throat scraped dry. Someone who thinks you'll fix this, she says. Her laugh is short and sharp like a break. I told him you can't even fix toast. The front latch clicks and Mia freezes. We both stare at the hall like it's loaded. She shoves the test into her pocket fast. Footsteps move past the door then fade. She exhales slow but doesn't relax. Tell me his name, I say, voice small. No names, she answers, eyes on the clock. You don't know him, she adds, shoulders squared. I taste metal and push down questions. Did he pressure you? I ask, heat rising. Mia shakes her head then looks away. It was mine, she says, words clipped short. I chose and I miscounted and here we are. She wipes her palms on her jeans and steadies. You're not calling anyone, not yet. The door opens again and this time stays open. Grace steps in fast and stops when she sees us. Her gaze swings to Mia's pocket and hardens. What did you do? She asks, breath tight. Mia backs up, shoulders against the fridge. Close the door, I say, hand outstretched. Grace kicks it shut and tosses her keys down. No stalling, she says, eyes never leaving Mia. Are you sick or are you pregnant? Mia presses her lips together like a sealed cut. Grace moves closer, not gentle, not cruel. Say it clearly, she says, fingers tapping twice. Mia pulls the test out and holds it up. Grace flinches and catches herself mid-step. How far? She asks, voice almost steady. 5 weeks maybe, Mia says, counting air. Grace nods like she's building a map fast. Doctor first, then decisions, she says. She looks at me finally and waits. I feel the floor tilt under both feet. Who's involved? Grace asks, arms crossed hard. Mia glances at me and looks back. He works late and won't answer, she says. Grace's jaw ticks like a clock with a crack. We won't wait on someone unreliable. My phone buzzes again and again and again. Grace's eyes cut to the screen, then to me. Who keeps calling? She asks, tone too calm. I turn the phone face down and lie. Spam, I say, and Mia hears the wobble. Grace's nostrils flare like she smelled smoke. Leave the phone up, she says, no discussion. I flip it and let the calls flash. Unknown number shifts to a saved contact. Grace's name flashes once then stops cold. Mia catches it and looks between us, puzzled. You call yourself? She asks, brows drawn hard. Grace doesn't blink and I feel heat climb. Wrong sync, I mumble, and it sounds stupid. Mia folds her arms and files that away. Doctor, Grace repeats, pushing past the glitch. Tomorrow morning, she adds, already typing. No school, Mia says, daring her to argue. You'll be excused, Grace answers without looking up. Give me the time and I'll handle it. A fist hits the door twice, knuckles fast. All 3 of us jump like the floor shocked us. Mia tenses and shoves the test behind her. Grace steps in front of her like a wall. Who invited company? Grace asks without humor. It's fine, Mia whispers, not sounding sure. Another knock, then a voice through the wood. Mia, please open, it's me. She moves toward the door then stops. I block the handle with my palm and wait. Not yet, I say, keeping my eyes steady. Grace looks at me, then at Mia. Is he safe to talk to? Grace asks. Mia nods after a beat and swallows hard. He wants to help but he panics. I open the door a crack and see Ben's face. He looks young and scared but standing firm. He lifts a small bag and shakes it once. Information packet and a number, he says. Grace opens the door wider and studies him. No speeches, she warns, voice like a wire. Short facts and respect, she adds, chin up. Ben nods quick and steps inside once. He sets the bag down and lifts his eyes. I'm not running, he says, chest rising fast. Mia reaches for him and stops halfway. He meets her halfway and they touch wrists. I screwed up and I'm here, he says. Grace watches their hands like a ticking thing. Do your parents know? She asks, laser steady. Ben nods once and breathes through his nose. My mother knows and my father doesn't, he says. She booked a clinic and a counselor, he adds. Mia flinches at the word clinic and stares. I haven't chosen, she says, voice shaking. No one pushes you, Grace says, hand raised. Options on the table, pressure off the table. She turns to Ben and points to a chair. Zidane answer straight if asked, she says. He sits and grips his knees like handles. The phone on the counter lights again. Same number, same relentless rhythm, same demand. Grace sees it and her jaw locks. Mia steps back and looks at me directly. What are you hiding? She asks, eyes sharp. I feel every year land on my shoulders. Not now, I say, and that's gasoline. Grace's head snaps toward me with warning. Ben looks between us like he missed a step. Mia stare drills for the truth and waits. She takes the test from her pocket and sets it down. Here is my crisis on the table, she says. Bring yours or stop breathing near me, she adds. The room hums like a live wire ready. The phone starts vibrating again and won't stop. I hit accept and put the call on speaker. Is now safe? A calm voice asks through static. Mia looks at me, arms locked across her chest. Grace points at the phone like a prosecutor. Who are you? She asks, cool and sharp. Wrong number, I say, and end the call. Mia steps closer and holds out her palm. Unlock it, she says, no shake, no mercy. I raise the phone and it scans my face. A banner pops up with 3 brutal words. Tell her soon. Mia reads it twice and doesn't blink. Grace goes still, then takes one slow breath. Ben's knee bounces under the table like a drum. No one speaks first because the next word explodes. Mia swipes into notes and scrolls fast. Grace moves to stop her and I block gently. Mia opens a locked file with my face again. One line waits at the top like a blade. Before 12 weeks, full truth. Her eyes jump to me, then to Grace. You wrote this? She asks, voice low and flat. I nod because lying now lights a fire. Ben leans back and watches like a witness. Grace rubs her thumb against her knuckles hard. Which truth? Mia asks, pressing each syllable. The one I keep smelling in this house. She taps the screen and a photo thumbnail shakes. She opens it and freezes on a document header. Authorization to release sealed family records. Grace grabs a chair to steady herself. Clinic tomorrow, then we talk, she says. Mia laughs once, quick and hot, not amused. Talk now or I walk out, she answers. Her hand closes around the keys like a switch. Ben stands halfway, unsure where to place himself. I can wait outside, he offers, voice steady. Mia shakes her head and keeps him near. You stay and hear everything I hear, she says. Grace narrows her eyes at him but doesn't argue. I take the phone and flip to the calendar. Mia snatches it back and holds it like evidence. A reminder blinks for tomorrow at 8. Heartbeat scan, she reads, breath catching once. She swallows and lifts her chin like she refuses tears. Who booked this? She asks, staring at Grace. I did, Grace answers, spine straight as a rail. You need information and options and support. Mia's mouth tightens but she doesn't move. Information is not the secret, she fires back. The doorbell rings and all heads twitch. Ben checks the peephole and steps aside fast. A package sits there with my name in bold. Mia opens it with her thumb and pulls out mailers. 2 DNA kits land on the table like grenades. Grace closes her eyes for one breath. Mia turns the box and reads the return address. Her lips press together as she connects dots. You ordered these the day after my test, she says. She looks to me like I just confessed murder. We needed certainty, I start and stop. Mia holds up a hand and cuts me off. I already have certainty, she says, voice tight. My body told me before anyone else did. She drops the swabs back into the box and waits. Ben clears his throat and finds a lane. My mother booked a counselor tonight, he says. We can sit with someone neutral and breathe. Mia nods once, tempted by the lifeline. Grace plants her feet in the doorway like a guard. No exits until we decide the next step, Grace says. Call the clinic and confirm the slot, she adds. She hands Mia the phone like a surrender flag. Mia dials and puts it on speaker for proof. A receptionist answers and asks for the patient name. Mia gives her own first and last name. Her voice steadies as she repeats the time. The receptionist confirms and asks one question. Will a legal guardian attend the consult, she asks. Mia looks at me, then at Grace, then ends the call. No guardian, Mia says, voice iron now. Two adults who owe me honesty, she adds. She pushes the DNA kits toward me like trash. Those can wait, words cannot, she says. Grace's jaw bulges as she grinds down fear. Ben reaches for Mia's fingers and misses. She keeps both hands free like a fighter. What is the truth you plan to stage, she asks. Her gas. He pins me and does not release. My throat dries and the floor feels unsteady. I point to the calendar reminder and hold steady. I plan to talk after the scan, I say. I was wrong to delay and I know it. Mia checks Grace like she expects a move. Grace doesn't move because running kills trust. Give me one answer, Mia says, breath shallow. Yes or no, she adds, words clean and direct. Have you lied about who my mother is? The house hums like a transformer about to pop. My mouth opens and the air itself pushes back. Yes, the word lands and everyone jerks like I dropped glass. Mia doesn't blink, her grip tightens on the keys. Grace exhales through her teeth and braces her stance. Ben straightens in his chair and waits for the next blow. Who, Mia asks, voice even and loaded. You'll hear it clean, not piecemeal, I answer. She steps closer, eyes locked on mine. Clean means now, she says, and the room tightens. She turns toward the door and lifts the latch. I move in front of it and hold my ground. Don't trap me, she warns, shoulders pitched forward. Stay and I talk, I say, heart trying to sprint. Ben raises a palm for calm and finds Mia's attention. We set rules and stick to them, he suggests. No yelling, no exits, clear answers, he adds. Mia nods once but keeps the keys raised. Grace reaches into the drawer and pulls an envelope. She lays it flat, then steps back like it stings. Mia watches her hands and then looks at me. What is that? She asks, voice tight and steady. I slide it across the table without ceremony. Mia tears the seal and scans the first page. Her pupils jump to a signature line and freeze. She looks up, breathing faster, fighting to stay composed. My name sits where she expected it, and another sits below. Grace's name appears beside a role that should not fit. Mia taps the title, then the strange designation. Explain this, she demands, knuckles whitening on the paper. It's a transfer of responsibility, I say, words clipped. Filed years ago, still binding, still real. Mia's jaw flexes, then stills like a locked hinge. So the lie touches every corner, she says, voice low. Grace's hand trembles, then she rests it on the table. Mia doesn't look at it, not yet, not ready. Her eyes return to the page like it might confess. Ben leans forward, careful, and reads over her shoulder. Mia turns the sheet and finds a medical checkbox. She drags her finger under the warning label. Is there something I need to tell the doctor? She asks. Yes, I answer, because stalling kills trust. What risk? She presses, shoulders squared to take impact. A hereditary condition that matters for pregnancy care, I say. Not guaranteed but significant, I add, holding her gaze. Mia absorbs it and goes still, then hardens. Her phone vibrates and lights up with the clinic number. She connects the call and puts it on speaker. Confirm for 8, she says, voice clipped and formal. Add note for family history, she adds, staring at me. The receptionist confirms and asks about attendees. Mia answers with 2 names and ends the call. She sets a timer on her screen and taps start. 10 minutes until the full answer, she says, eyes sharp. Ben looks at Grace, then back to Mia. I stand with you while you hear it, he says. Mia nods once, barely, permission granted for now. The timer ticks loud enough to press my chest. I lift my head and face her without flinching. First fact, I lied about your parentage, I say. Second fact, these papers show I orchestrated that lie. Third fact, I stop because the truth burns. Do not craft speeches, Mia warns, palm lifted. Say it without puzzles or riddles, she adds. Grace grips the chair like it might run. Ben's heel taps once, then stops under control. The person you call sister is central, I say. Mia's eyes narrow and fix on Grace's face. She takes one small step toward her and stops. Central how, she asks, words sharp as a blade. Grace swallows and raises her chin an inch. Her voice comes out steady, careful, brave enough. We need privacy for the last piece, she says. Mia cuts her off with a quick shake of the head. No side rooms, no whispers, right here, she answers. Her finger points to the document like a weapon. Is this the reason for your calls today? She asks me. Yes, I say, because anything else detonates worse. The timer bleeps down and pushes the choice harder. Mia inhales and plants her feet like stakes. You have 30 seconds, she says, gaze never wavering. Make them count or I walk into the street. I glance at Ben, then at Grace, then back to Mia. Ben gives a tight nod like a silent count in. Grace's lips part and close, fighting instinct to delay. I lock my shoulders and prepare to end the spiral. Truth right now, Mia says, voice clear as a bell. Grace steps forward and places her hand on the page. She doesn't look away from Mia for a he. RTB. Listen closely, she says, and the room seems to lean. Grace doesn't blink. I'm your mother. Mia's keys drop and strike the floor once. Ben jerks to standing and then grips the chair. My hands stay open because any move explodes. Mia's mouth works and then shuts hard. She points at Grace's face with a shaking finger. Say it again, she orders, breathing through her teeth. Grace nods once and repeats without flinching. No riddles, Mia presses, stepping into her space. Were you pregnant with me? She asks, voice razor clean. Grace places her palm on the paper between them. Yes, she answers, every muscle braced for impact. Mia staggers one step and catches the counter. Then what am I to you? She asks, eyes burning. Grace doesn't move toward her, she holds. You are my daughter, she says, steadier now. Ben looks to me for a signal and gets nothing. Mia drags air into her lungs and swallows. Who knew besides you two? She asks, looking deadly calm. No one who matters here, I answer, because hedging kills us. Then every birthday was theater, Mia snaps, shoulders tight. You stood there and watched me think a lie. Her fists clench until the knuckles stand out. Why did you let me call you sister? She pushes. Grace touches her own wrist to keep from reaching. I thought distance would shield you, she says, voice low. I kept the story fixed and told myself it worked. Mia laughs once, dry and cutting as a blade. Ben steps close to Mia and offers his hand. She refuses contact and keeps her spine straight. Do you expect forgiveness tonight? She asks, unblinking. No, Grace answers, and the word lands heavy. Mia points to the envelope still lying open. You signed authority over me years ago, she says. You controlled doctors, schools, everything that mattered. Did you ever plan to stop lying? She adds. I clear my throat and answer before Grace can. Yes, before the scan tomorrow, I say, voice firm. Mia rounds on me like I just confessed more. You were going to time my life to your calendar, she fires. Her phone timer chirps and she kills it fast. Clock's done, damage done, now the next step. She picks up one DNA kit and holds it out. Use it now, she orders, eyes pinned to Grace. Grace twists open the swab and doesn't hesitate. She follows the instruction card without theatrics. Mia mirrors her with quick, precise movements. They seal both tubes and slam them back into the box. Ben exhales and finds his position again. I can take these to the drop, he offers quietly. Mia nods once and hands him the shipping sleeve. Send it tonight, she says, leaving zero slack. Grace reaches for Mia and stops short. Can I come to the appointment? She asks carefully. Mia looks her over like a judge at a bench. You will sit, you will not steer, you will listen. She turns to me with the same blade-straight gaze. And you will answer the physician about the risk, she says. No soft focus, no editing to spare feelings. I nod because there is nowhere left to hide. Mia walks to the sink and splashes water on her face. She dries off with quick, rough motions and steadies. Ben stays tonight, she decides, voice iron and final. If anyone leaves, it will be me. Grace opens the calendar on her phone and freezes. Mia watches that tiny pause and pounces. What else is scheduled, she asks, tone arctic. Grace shows the screen and swallows hard. Counselor at 9 tonight, Grace admits, shoulders squared. I booked it for all of us if you agreed. Mia considers, eyes ticking through variables fast. Fine, we go, no speeches, clear questions. Ben pockets the package and heads to the door. I'll drop this and come straight back, he promises. Mia nods without warmth, permission and warning combined. 15 minutes, she says, and he moves. Grace reaches for the keys on the floor. Mia steps on them first and keeps pressure. Boundaries, she warns, voice flat and unarguable. Grace retracts her hand and nods once. I pick up the phone and open the clinic note. Mia watches me type the family risk onto the chart. She takes the device and confirms the update. Good, she says, not praise, just control reclaimed. A car horn sounds outside and fades away. Mia faces us both, shoulders set for another round. You will not call anyone else before morning, she states. Any breach and I walk, she adds, eyes locked. We hold still as if the floor might drop. Mia crosses to the table and gathers the envelope. She folds it cleanly and slides it into her pocket. Proof stays with me, she says, and the room tightens. Ben reappears at the door right on time. He lifts his phone with the tracking receipt loaded. Mia checks the timestamp and gives a tight nod. Now we go to that counselor, she says, daring a challenge. We check in and the clipboard lands in Mia's hands. She fills the first page fast and circles the pregnancy line. Emergency contact stares back empty until she writes Ben. She slides the forms across and watches my face for flinching. A woman opens the door and counts us silently. Ground rule, Mia says before we sit. I speak first, interrupt me, and I walk. The counselor nods once and gestures to the chairs, expectant. What do you need tonight? The counselor asks, voice steady. Clarity and control, Mia answers without a shake. Concrete steps for tomorrow, no speeches. Her gaze sweeps across us and stops on me. Medical risk, the counselor says, pen ready. I meet Mia's eyes and keep it plain. Cardiac condition in the family that complicates pregnancy, I say. Doctor needs to screen early and monitor closely. Who can authorize care if decisions stack up? The counselor asks. Mia lifts the envelope edge from her pocket. Those papers give them power if I let them, she says. I will consent where possible, everything else is case by case. Roles for the appointment, the counselor continues, efficient and precise. Mia points to Grace without blinking. You sit in the room and keep quiet, she says. She points at me and waits until I nod. You answer risk questions directly and stop after facts. Ben leans forward but keeps his voice measured. I will drive and handle logistics, he offers. I already added the clinic to my calendar. Mia looks him over, then gives a small nod. Disclosure beyond this room, the counselor asks, pen hovering. No more calls tonight, Mia decides, tone flat. Extended family stays out until after the scan. Grace bites her lip and then agrees, stripped and tense. The counselor turns to me like a referee. What single action rebuilds trust this week? She asks. I unlock my phone and set it on the table. Code unlock stays with Mia until after the appointment. Mia pulls the device toward her and checks settings. She disables outgoing calls except the clinic and counselor. She takes Grace's phone and mirrors the changes. Try to override and I leave, she warns, daring anyone. Hardest sentence you owe each other tonight, the counselor asks. Ben clears his throat and stares at Mia's shoes. I help create pressure you did not deserve, he says. Mia's eyes soften a fraction, then sharpen again. Grace draws air and steadies her hands on her knees. I chose secrecy and it wounded you, she says. I will not correct your feelings tonight. She folds her fingers and holds the silence like a pledge. My turn lands heavy and leaves no exit. I controlled information because I was afraid, I say. I will not control you again. Mia's jaw flexes once, then rests under control. A phone buzzes in Ben's pocket and he jumps. He checks the screen and winces, then shows Mia. His mother's name pulses with a text thread. Waiting outside, where are you? Answer on speaker, Mia says, voice even. Ben taps and keeps it brief and calm. I am safe and staying for the session, he says. We will call when finished, please do not come in. Silence, then a thin exhale through the line. Text me the address for later, his mother replies. Your choice, but I need to know you're okay. Ben sends the pin and ends the call under Mia's stare. Safety plan if emotions boil, the counselor says. Pick a word that means stop now. Mia thinks for one beat and chooses freeze. We repeat it and let the meaning settle like a switch. Anything else before we close, the counselor asks. Mia lifts her chin and sets a last boundary. Tomorrow I speak first with the doctor, she says. You two wait until I invite you into the conversation. We stand and the counselor hands me the card. Call if tonight gets dangerous, she adds. No speeches, remember. Mia pockets it with the envelope and heads for the door. In the hallway, Mia stops and faces Grace head on. One proof before we sleep, she says, eyes unwavering. Send the clinic a written note about the risk. Grace opens her phone and types the message immediately. Mia watches the sent confirmation and nods once. Next, sleeping arrangements, she continues with crisp control. Ben in the guest room, you two downstairs. She pockets our phones and zips the pocket shut tight. We step into the night and the air bites clean. Ben's mother idles at the curb with her lights on. Mia walks over and leans to the window. He stays here, she says, and waits for resistance. His mother studies Mia's face and decides quickly. Then I will drop breakfast at 6, she says. No questions if you promise to answer the door. Mia nods once and backs away without breaking eye contact. We load into our car and nobody speaks. Mia holds the devices like evidence and watches me. Tomorrow you will not improvise, she says. If you do, we are done. The alarm snaps us up and Mia is already dressed. She tosses me the keys and holds out her palm. Phones, she says, expecting zero debate. We hand them over and follow her out braced. At the clinic desk, she answers every question herself. Pregnant, first scan, family cardiac risk flagged. She signs, then looks at me like a spotlight. You confirm it to the doctor or we leave, she warns. A nurse opens the door and counts the 4 of us. One support inside, she says, efficient and clipped. Mia turns to Grace and jerks her chin once. You're with me, the others wait right here, she decides. Grace's shoulders square as she steps through the doorway. I sit beside Ben and feel the seconds grind. He stares at the floor and squeezes both fists. We follow her rules all the way, he mutters. My name pops on the tablet for consent verification. I stand and scan in, then add the risk note. The nurse reads it and raises an eyebrow. Doctor will want details from you, she says, measuring. Through the wall we hear quick instructions in gel. Then a small sound from Mia, half gasp, half wonder. Ben looks at me like he wants permission to smile. I hold up a hand and keep him grounded. The nurse waves me in for the medical portion. Mia lies still and watches the monitor steadily. Grace sits rigid, fingers locked together like clamps. The doctor nods at me to start talking now. Inherited arrhythmia on my side, I state clearly. History of fainting and dangerous episodes during exertion, I add. 2 relatives required intervention before 30. The doctor types fast and orders tests without ceremony. Bloodwork today, baseline EKG, early cardiology consult. She turns to Mia with calm, controlled precision. This does not decide your outcome, she says. It changes monitoring and your activity starting today. Mia focuses on the screen and steadies her breath. Show me the measurement, she requests, voice steady. The doctor points to the tiny flicker and a number. Mia's lips twitch like she wants relief but refuses it. A dull thud from the hall makes Ben jump. Mia's phone vibrates in her pocket with a reminder. She checks the time and then looks back up. After this, you two wait outside, she says firmly. The doctor prints orders and hands me a copy. Accurate family names for the specialist, she instructs. I meet her eyes and nod once, uncomplicated. Mia watches that exchange like a referee with a whistle. The nurse wipes the gel and offers a tissue. Mia sits up slowly and swings her legs down. Options counseling after labs, the doctor says evenly. Mia nods, then aims her gaze at Grace like a blade. Ground rule still stands, she reminds Tone Iron. You listen until I request input. Grace holds that order in both hands and breathes. Ben peeks around the doorway and freezes for approval. Come in, Mia tells him, finally softer. He steps close but keeps space for her movement. His eyes flick to the printout like it might bite. We handle one sheet at a time, she says. A phlebotomist appears with trays and calm hands. Mia extends her arm without a tremor. She watches the vials fill and doesn't blink. I want the cardiology slot today if possible, she says. Urgent referral sent, the nurse answers, brisk and clear. Clinic across the street late morning. Mia nods like a commander approving a plan. She glances at me to ensure I heard everything. We move to a small consult room and sit. The counselor from last night joins over video. Mia explains the scan in 3 pointed sentences. Next decision is mine, then discussion, she states. Are you leaning? The counselor asks, voice even. I'm keeping appointments and learning the risk first, Mia says. After the consult, I choose a path. Grace swallows hard but stays silent. Like she promised. A staffer brings forms for care proxies and permissions. Mia reads every line and scratches 2 sections. She hands one to Ben with a quick glance. Emergency contact remains you. Financial access remains me. The door opens and the cardiology scheduler steps in. Slot at 11:15 if you walk now, she says. Mia stands and pockets the paperwork with practiced control. We walk now, she replies, already moving. In the corridor, I match Mia's pace and breathe. Thank you for letting us accompany you, I manage. She doesn't slow or soften or look back. Gratitude later, compliance now, she answers, unforgiving. Outside the cardiology office, we pause at the threshold. Mia turns and puts one palm on Grace's shoulder. Stand beside me, not in front of me, she says. Then she faces the desk and signs her name, unshaken. The technician calls her and gestures to the EKG room. Only one may enter for electrodes, he says. Mia looks at Grace, then points to me once. You handle the data, she waits with Ben, she decides. Inside, the tech works quickly and without chatter. Mia watches my face for microreactions and finds none. The printout emerges with jagged lines and essential numbers. The tech hands it to the cardiologist with a nod. The cardiologist scans the strip and swivels toward us. Borderline intervals, nothing alarming, repeat in 2 weeks, he says. Avoid dehydration and sudden exertion, call if symptoms appear. He signs the chart and asks about family procedures. I answer with crisp facts and dates only. No history lesson, no digressions, no excuses. He enters the data and marks the prenatal plan. Mia exhales once, then lifts her chin again. Back in the waiting area, Grace stands when we emerge. Mia raises a palm and keeps her seated. One more stop today, she announces, eyes on me. The records office for copies of that transfer. I hesitate for half a heartbeat and correct it. We can get certified copies before noon, I say. Mia studies me for any hint of stalling. She nods once and heads for the elevator, relentless. Ben falls in behind her and checks the time. I will call my mother to push work, he offers. Mia permits it with a tilt of her head. Update her with facts only, she says, unforgiving. In the elevator, she faces the doors and steadies. After records, we eat and draft a plan, she says. Then we tell the counselor which path I'm choosing. She looks at us like we're on probation, and we are. The clerk pushes a numbered ticket back at us and frowns. Certified copies require the parent of record in person. Mia leans over the counter and taps the request line. Parent of record is here, she says, pointing at Grace, daring refusal. Government ID and sworn statement, the clerk replies without blinking. Grace opens her wallet with a quick inhale and hands it over. Swornware, Mia asks, drumming 3 times on the counter. Notary in room 2, the clerk answers, sliding a clipboard across, impatient. In room 2, a notary stamps the header and waits. Mia stares straight at Grace and does not speak. Grace signs the declaration and lifts her chin an inch. Relationship to minor, the notary reads, pen paused for the answer. Mother, Grace states, voice steady enough to hold weight. The notary writes it, stamps again, and circles the date. Mia snatches the form and checks every line twice. Now file this and print the copies, she orders, refusing delay. Back at the window, the clerk pulls up the record. Her eyes flicker for a moment, then settle to neutral. One certified birth record, one guardianship transfer, one addendum, she lists. Mia hears the last word and raises her eyebrows sharply. Addendum, she repeats, cutting the air like a wire. Updated contact for biological parent after verified disclosure. The clerk points to a blank field marked father unknown. Mia's gaze lands there and does not move, burning questions. She turns slowly toward me and says nothing yet. Grace grips the edge of the counter, knuckles pale and rigid. Ben shifts his weight and fights the urge to fill silence. The printer spits pages that look heavier than paper. Mia signs the receipt and folds the documents once. She slides the packet into her jacket and locks the zipper. Next stop, counselor's line, she says, moving toward the door. Her eyes flick back to the blank field like it bites. Outside, Ben's phone buzzes with a delivery alert. DNA package received at processing, he reads, keeping it short. Mia nods without comment and sets a timer for noon. When it hits 0, we call the counselor, she says, fixing the rule. We grab a table and she spreads a legal pad. 3 lanes, she says, drawing quick columns without artistry. Medical schedule, school logistics, money and housing. She writes assignments and then looks at me, expecting a pledge. I'll arrange insurance authorizations and the specialist. Follow-ups. I write my number under contacts for emergencies only. Mia watches my pen like it could start lying. Any change in plan runs through me first, she says, unblinking. Ben clears his throat and points to the middle column. I already emailed my manager about flexible hours, he adds. I can cover rides and grocery runs. Mia marks 2 checkboxes and grants a short nod, measured. Grace taps the housing column and keeps her tone even. Nursery can wait, stability cannot, she says with care. We reassign bedrooms so you have privacy and quiet. Mia considers, then draws an arrow toward the guest room, choosing boundaries. The timer counts down and Mia flips the card. She dials the counselor and puts the device on speaker. I heard the scan was stable, the counselor opens, neutral. Mia glances at me, then returns to the point like a razor. I'm continuing the pregnancy, she says, clear and controlled. Schedule prenatal classes and ongoing counseling by next week. Grace exhales through her nose and wipes one eye. I grip the table and hold still while the words settle. Next step is disclosure to school, the counselor replies. Mia nods once and writes down the dean's name. I will make that call this afternoon, she promises. Attendance plan and accommodations by Friday, she adds, setting the bar. The counselor asks for one unresolved item before hanging up. Mia glances at the sealed copies and then at me. Paternal information is pending, she says without inflection. We address it tonight after dinner, she finishes, keeping me on the hook. We end the call and the table goes quiet. Mia flips to a fresh page and writes a single line. Tell me the father or submit to legal verification. She caps the pen and stares until my pulse stumbles. Ben reaches for her hand and stops halfway. She lets him link fingers and then pulls free. Support is not permission to dodge, she reminds, eyes sharp. He nods once and sits back, chastened and loyal. Grace opens her mouth, then clamps it shut. Mia catches that micro pause and tilts her head. You know the name, she says, not a question. Silence stretches just long enough to sting, then snaps. Home, Mia declares, standing with sudden purpose. We lock doors, we eat, we talk at 7. She looks at me last and holds the stare. If you wait for the test, you lose me tonight. 7 hits and Mia points to the chair across from her. Sit and say his name. Ben stands behind her shoulder like backup. Grace stays near the doorway with clenched hands. I place my phone on the table and unlock it. No recordings, Mia warns, brow low and focused. I flip it face down and keep my eyes up. Good speak, she says, pulse jumping at her throat. Evan Cole, the name cracks the room open. Mia blinks once, then narrows her stare like a vice. Roll, she asks, not blinking again. Student, my classmate, Grace answers, shoulders rigid. Mia absorbs that and flicks 2 fingers for proof. I slide over a contact labeled with Evan's attorney. Why a lawyer, she asks, suspicion rising fast. Because he signed away parental rights years ago. Call, Mia orders, already opening the keypad. She puts it on speaker and crosses one leg. A receptionist answers and roots us with no fuss. An older voice comes on and states his name. I need verification, Mia says, voice steady, exact. Did your client terminate rights over a newborn? Yes, by consent order, the voice replies, practice calm. Copy available by email to the guardian of record. Mia cuts in with a new demand. Send it to me, the record now lists my mother. She spells her address and watches the screen hard. Receipt confirmation will follow in 2 minutes, he responds. She ends the call and turns back to me. Why wasn't this revealed sooner? Because the order sealed identifying details, I answer. It also barred contact without a court petition. Mia looks at Grace and taps the table twice. Was there danger if we contacted him? Grace nods once, then speaks with careful control. He breached boundaries after the birth and was restrained. Mia's jaw goes tight, but she keeps breathing even. Is he alive? Grace nods again and stares at the floor. Married, moved, left the state. The email pings and Mia opens the attachment. She reads the header and the judge's stamp. She scans the sections line by line, unhurried. Her lips press together when she hits the restriction clause. Do I need to notify him about my pregnancy? No, I answer before anyone else can. The order has no such requirement. She scrolls again and confirms it herself. Mia flips the phone so the screen faces me. Delete the contact after we archive the document. I nod and wait for her to forward the file. She does, then watches me remove the number. Next, medical information from his side. Limited, I say, choosing words that will not wobble. His family history T. Ested clean at the time. Mia lifts a finger, at the time is vague. I hold her gaze and slow my voice. We can request an updated statement via the attorney. Mia thinks a beat, then gives a single nod. Do that tonight and copy me on it. Ben leans forward, palms flat and calm. I can write the request now, he offers. Short and specific. Mia nods and slides him the email. Grace clears her throat and straightens her back. I need to add one correction, she says. Mia points at her without lowering her guard. Careful, no speeches. He never saw you after the hospital, Grace says. He tried, the court stopped him. Mia stares at her longer than comfort allows. Noted, she says, not forgiving, just filing. My phone lights with a new email alert. The consent order lands in Mia's inbox again. She saves it to a folder she named today. Legal file, emergency only, she says, establishing rules. Now the form, Mia continues, crisp and unwavering. Birth record addendum asks for a contact for biological parent. She looks at me and then at Grace. We list the lawyer, not him. Grace exhales through her nose and nods agreement. No objections, I add, palms open on the table. Ben finishes typing and spins the screen for review. Mia edits one line, then hits send with a firm tap. She shifts to planning with relentless focus. School meeting tomorrow at 8:30, she says. You both attend and keep responses brief. She writes a 3-bullet agenda and does not look up. Ben's phone buzzes with a reply from the counselor. Room booked for your meeting, he reads quietly. She added a second slot for family work. Mia glances at Grace, a warning and an invitation. Grace nods once and rubs her wrist. I'll be there, she promises, voice clear and small. Mia studies her for backpedaling and finds none. Stick to answers, not explanations, she says, unflinching. A knock at the door interrupts the rhythm. Ben checks the peephole and turns back. My mother with food, he reports, uncertain. Mia considers, then unlocks and opens a crack. Leave it on the step, she tells her through the gap. Thank you, we're okay. Ben's mother nods and steps back quickly. Mia closes up and sets the bag aside, untouched. She turns to me again and lifts her chin. You still haven't told me why you set the timer yesterday. Because I was afraid of saying it wrong, I admit. I wanted space to hold the fallout. She weighs that answer and lets it sit. Timing should never outrank truth, she says. She closes her eyes once, then reopens them. Learn that or exit this plan. We take plates and sit without appetite. Mia unwraps one and picks at it slowly. Ben lists tomorrow's logistics, she says, forcing motion. He does slot by slot, clear and concise. Mia pushes half her food away and stands. Walk with me, she tells Grace, not a request. They step into the hall where I can still hear. We will build new terms, she states, cool and precise. Grace's voice drops but stays firm. I want to be present if you allow it. You can be present, Mia replies, you cannot steer. A long pause follows, then soft agreement. They return and Mia points at the envelope in her jacket. Certified copies stay with me, she restates. If I need you to present them, I will text. She pats the pocket once and sits again. My phone buzzes with a response from the attorney. He confirms the medical update request was sent. Timeline estimated within 10 business days. Mia nods at the screen and sets a reminder. She looks at all three of us and draws a breath. Tonight has rules until morning, she announces. No calls to anyone else, no side agreements, no editing. She taps the table with each point like a metronome. Ben raises a cautious topic. Birth Options class offers a partner session this weekend. He waits for Mia to assess the offer. Enroll, she says, then adds, buy nothing yet. Grace shifts weight from foot to foot and speaks carefully. I have one request for after school tomorrow. Mia lifts an eyebrow and prepares to deny it. Therapy, just me and you, Grace says quickly. Mia considers, then looks at the clock. Fine, she decides, 1 hour, then we regroup. She scribbles the time on her note and pockets it. Do not bring other people. A chime sounds from Mia's email. The clerk at records confirms the addendum filed. Mia reads the confirmation number out loud. Document locked, she says, relief contained but real. She closes her notebook and raises her eyes. I'm going to sleep in the guest room, she says. Ben on the couch next to the door. She points at me and Grace, downstairs, stay close. We stand as one and begin to move. Mia stops me with 2 fingers on my sleeve. Last thing, she says, and the air thins. If your brother calls, you cut him off. I blink and search her face for the angle. You think he might reach out, I ask. You sent our request today, word travels, she answers. Anyone pulling strings gets blocked immediately. I nod once and set my jaw. No extra contacts, no leaks, no tricks. She studies me for weakness and then lets go. Good, lights out in 15. Ben gathers the discarded wrappers and looks up. Do you need anything before bed? He asks her. Water and space, she answers, then points at the clock. Wake me if the counselor emails. We turn toward our rooms and the house shifts quieter. Mia pauses in the hallway and rests her palm on her stomach. Not performance, not drama, just a choice anchored. She looks back at us and holds the silence like a line. Tomorrow, she says, steady and final, we practice telling the truth. Then she closes her door, leaving the rest of us outside. The latch clicks once and echoes longer than it should. I stand there counting breaths, waiting for that email to land.